welcome to Scribes and Songsters. Tonight's guest will discuss two very different books that can bring happiness to you, the reader. Our first guest co-authored a book called How to Get There From Here. John Schlarbaum may be best known as a prolific writer of mystery thrillers. He's also a songwriter, playwright, and the president of Scanna Publishing. John recently joined forces with clinical therapist and motivational speaker Rick Saruna. Rick has spent over 25 years helping people find answers to challenging life situations. His Windsor Clinic, Body and Mind Natural Health, provides therapy and training for those wanting to change mindsets and habits. John and Rick have crafted their unique book by pairing quotes from a flawed private detective in John's books with sage life advice. How to Get There From Here provides motivation, inspiration, and a path to positive thinking. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Lovely to have you here. This was a very interesting read, and I wanted to know what inspired you to write this?
Well, I think it really starts with me because I have a mystery series with three books featuring Steve Cassidy, who's my, like you said, flawed private investigator who gets into a lot of trouble, but he gets himself out of it after a while. But I always thought it would be a cool idea to go through the three books and take all of his sort of quotes of motivation and things that he gave to the reader or to his girlfriend, just little pieces of advice, and put it into a book called, The Wit and Wisdom of P.I. Steve Cassidy, right? And just put it out there. So I had done that for another project that I was working on, get all the quotes, and then I thought, hey, Rick here, he would know everything that needs to be, fixed with Steve. So what I ended up doing was sending him all the quotes and, directly from the book. And from there, then Rick sort of expanded on each of the quotes, giving advice that he would give to real life clients that came into his office.
I've read lots of investigator books and they don't sort of, come up with wit and wisdom. Tell me about him.
Well, Steve he's a private investigator now, but he's an ex-police officer who is an ex-police officer for a specific reason, that he got in trouble with the law, his own law. He used to be in vice. He used to have a lot of his own vices, be it alcohol or women or gambling and once he got, sort of hits rock bottom, then he, starts becoming a lowly private investigator. And the thing is, I've been a private investigator for 25 years. So a lot of the Steve stuff is, sort of, I'm not as troubled as Steve is. But with Steve, I'll just read you one of the quotes directly from the book that will sort of describe something that he is telling the reader. And again, the books are all written in a first-person narrative, and I think that also helps because he's able to talk directly to people. So this is just one of the quotes from the book that will tell you pretty much everything about Steve Cassidy. When I'd taken this assignment, I had only thought about how my life had changed during the previous 13 years. The lean times, the good times, the bad times, the odd jobs, the troubled career, the girlfriends, the wife, the divorce, the one-night stands, the rags, the riches, the drinking, the drugs, the horror, the humiliation, and finally, the reawakening. What I hadn't considered was that while I had aged and presumably matured, so had everyone else in the world. Time waits for no one. So that's Steve in a nutshell.
Wow. You must have a field day with this character. So when you get the call, had you read the book or?
I've read his books, but most of all, I also know John.
We've known each other probably for about 15.
Yeah, for a while.
15 years.
And basically all of the things that he's talking about. See, with my work, what happens is that I'm a storyteller, anyways. So when I'm working with a lot of people, by telling a story, there are parallels. So if there's something I want to get through to you, I may tell you a story. And then miraculously you go, whoa, that sounds like me. So when you read some of this stuff, like all of the things that he said, like he said a lot there at the very beginning of the description, it was more than most people. but every part of Steve, someone can relate to. So when I saw this, I went, this is what I do every single day. So and even with the title of the book, How to Get There From Here, when we're talking about it, right? The whole idea is everybody is somewhere, and most of us are trying to get somewhere else. So if you look at Steve and the character, he's been everywhere, but always trying to get somewhere else. And so by taking little quotes and pieces from the book, I mean, there were some great quotes there, there's some great pieces and great reflection, and just looking at it and saying, where would this person really want to go, where to be? So I'm always reading between the lines with people. The problem presented is normally never the problem at hand, and it's usually a diversion. So I'm looking through the diversions, and I'm looking as if I'm sitting in my clinic talking to someone and listening, but really trying to see a little deeper than what I'm hearing.
So you must hear a lot of this guy, maybe not in an entire human, but the bits of him in so many of your clients.
Some are the whole piece. Some are the whole piece. So
that makes it interesting.
Very
You
interesting.
have to work for your money with those people.
Very interesting. It's very interesting. I've often said, and I still say this, that I thrive on difficult and unusual situations. So I've done a lot of victim services work over the years. I've done a lot of trauma work. I've seen a lot of things. And no matter where you are, and that's really the idea of the book, no matter where you are, you can get somewhere else with the right help, with the right information, and having someone that can work with you like that, you can get somewhere else. And I think really what the idea is to give hope to whoever's reading it so they can see themselves in some situation and then see there is an answer. So no matter what he threw at me, there's an answer, because the future is based only on your imagination, not your memory. And if you can imagine where you want to be, then there's hope. Hope is nothing more than doing just that. So basically, it's hope for Steve. I mean, one day he might have a happily ever after Steve. A complete kind of a guy.
The book series will be done if that happens.
We'll start another series, I guess, right?
So when you sat down to start this, did you have a clear idea that you wanted, one side of the page to be the character's wisdom and observations, and then yours on the other side?
Yes, because my theory was that this way it would be sort of like short pieces, like even for a reader, they didn't have to read the full book. Like it's a very, it's like a 90 to 100-page book. So this way,
every page has insight.
There's
Yes.
So
And because the character is so flawed, I mean, it would be a novel to turn around and try to do some sort of analysis or assessment of them. Basically, it's like take the situation, give people short bits which they can hang on to, read it. It's easily read. Every page has information. Every page has a situation people can relate to.
And sometimes the Steve isn't like the downer, and then Rick comes in to save the day on him. A lot of times, Steve's wisdom is just really basic wisdom that if somebody read that and go, yeah, really, there is a way out of my situation just because I just have to tweak, what's around the corner. And I think, but the idea always was to have my stuff on one side, Rick's stuff on the other. And if people just read those 2 pages, they would get something out of it. But if they read all the Steve Cassidy pages all at once, they're going to get some wisdom and motivation for their life.
Yeah,
and
all
help
he
them.
has to do is stop the boozing, the drugging, and the women. He'd be all set.
What fun? No, he won't be any fun now.
Now, I ask a lot of the writers about how they feel about their characters. And before I get you to read some of this, because I think if you read it, it will really give our viewers a really good sense of how this is working. Do you like this character, Steve?
I like all the people I work with.
Yeah. I'm sure Steve would be pleased to hear that. What about you?
Well, with Steve, I mean, a lot of people, say that he's sort of to me, like he's sort of my alter ego, because a lot of the stuff that he says, wisdom or otherwise, it's coming from my head. Like I said, it's a first person narrative, so everything that he says is coming from my mind, or maybe experiences that I've had that I've made into storyline. So I do like Steve, and as the series progresses from book 1 through book 2, and then the final book, you do see an evolution of Steve's wisdom and how he deals with things, and the right people start coming into his life. He all of a sudden has a girlfriend for an entire book, which is crazy because the first couple of books he had other things going on, but all of a sudden he finds somebody that can help him. So in real life, that one person might be Rick. That one person in Steve's life is a waitress named Dawn. So I do like the character because you do see overall that sometimes he has bad days, sometimes he doesn't do the right thing, or in the past he hasn't done the right thing, but he's learned from his mistakes. He's always trying to learn from his mistakes and move forward. He's never slipping back into his old ways because he knows that's not going to help.
There's always a future, right? I mean, the future is based on your imagination, not your memory. That's the premise of the original book that I wrote. And actually, John helped me organize that book, to be honest with you. So that's also one of the ways that we got together, got to know each other, and the writing styles and stuff. But the future is always based on your imagination, not your memory. So if a person can imagine these things, and that's the whole idea, is to get the person into the future where they can imagine and they can become whatever they want. So the idea with all of the stuff is to take a person into the future, and they can start to own their thoughts, own their thinking, and make those changes. But the character was from my standpoint fantastic because it was
everything.
It was a field day. It was great.
So listen, I know time is going to run out on us, but I really need you guys to read a piece.
Okay, so this is the Steve part, which is on the left-hand page. Then Rick will read his sort of response that's on the right-hand page. So this is Steve. In our minds, a thin line divides confusion and fear. Confusion takes the root of, what is he talking about? On the other hand, fear travels down the path of, he knows, what am I going to do? It is quite an extraordinary person who can pull off both emotions simultaneously.
Now, my response when I write it, I wouldn't be talking to somebody in a clinic like this, right? This is a comedy, so I want people to understand that. So in response, it is a fine line indeed. A person who is not confused is able to think their way through situations and create the thoughts they desire with the best outcome. Confusion is when something doesn't fit our immediate sense of reality and we do not know what to do. On the other hand, fear is based on your past. If you didn't know what you know, you wouldn't be afraid of anything. It's part of our points of reference and actually locked into the subconscious. Combine that with fear and you are sure to do or say something you will wish you could take back. This is definitely not the best time to make decisions of any vital importance.
It's wonderful. We're running out of time so quickly, but very, very briefly, what do you want people to take away?
That I don't care what their situation is, problem, issue, there is a solution to that. And the biggest thing is people have to understand something, that asking for help, looking for help is not a weakness, but a strength. And will you do this again?
I have another series with Jennifer Malone, who's my newspaper reporter, and you never know. I think we would probably do something like this again. But it was a very interesting and unique project, which I don't think there's anything like it out there. So.
It's terrific. We could talk about so many other things. Thank you both so much.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
And best of luck with this. It really is unique and so interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Our second book is the true inspirational story about how Eddie, one of man's best friends, made his journey from Texas to Amherstburg. Adventures. A Tale of Love and Rescue was written by John Schlarbaum. Yes, this John Schlarbaum and Laurie Huver. But before I interview both of them, here's their book's main character, Eddie, telling you his tale in his own words.
Hi, everybody. My name is Eddie, and I have a brand new book called Adventures. Check it out. It tells my story of growing up on the streets with my brothers and sister before being rescued by nice people who then helped us all get into even nicer homes where we felt safe and loved. This is a fun book for all the animal lovers in your family, with lots of pictures of me, Eddie. I know you are going to love it. Talk to you soon. It's me, Eddie.
Eddie has to be one of the cutest dogs.
He does have his qualities, yeah.
Oh my goodness. But now, am I allowed to know if that was really Eddie's voice?
It's kind of Eddie's voice. I might have
Who helped him?
I might help him a little bit with the speaking part and the pitch part, but it's all Eddie's words. We know how Eddie speaks and what he thinks, and how he wants people to read his book and just be entertained.
So, what inspired this story about Eddie?
Actually, it's a little bit of a funny story. Pre-COVID, of course, I would travel quite a bit for work. And during the times I was gone, sometimes it was up to 2 weeks. The first thing I ask when I call home, how's Eddie? Is he okay? Does he miss me? And I would get photos from John all day long. Here's Eddie doing this. Here's Eddie doing that. And I said to him one day, I'm like, we really should do something with all these photos because he's accumulated about 2,000 of them.
Go.
So it started with the photos.
You're obsessed.
Again, like Eddie's very photogenic, obviously, and the pictures that I had, I was able to cartoonize them through a program, and the pictures that we have are they're really perfect because they're not too cartoony and they're not actual photos, but it's a good photorealism cartoon style, which is again, I think really the kids will enjoy looking at.
I was going to say that to you. I think kids would really enjoy these photos. They're you're right. They're between photos and cartoons, and just the right mix.
Yeah.
It's
Appealing.
Really, it's very appealing. Okay, so now everybody is obviously wanting to know, who's Eddie? Tell us about Eddie.
So we've had Eddie now for going on 3 years. He is going to be 4 actually at the end of the month. I had dogs prior to Eddie and lost one about 6 months to 9 months prior to that. And at that time I was like, nope, not happening, not doing it again. It's heartbreaking every time. But then started to notice that it was very quiet in the house, and it's not because of the dog. I think it's because of me. I would just talk to him. He sits next to me all day and, okay, let's go to the kitchen. Let's do this. And I said to John, I'm just going to start looking. I'm just going to take a peek, see what's out there. And happened on Second Chance Animal Rescue website and saw at the time he was Lafayette. And as soon as I saw his face, that was it.
That was his name?
His name was Lafayette, yes. So,
Big name for
big
a
name
little
for-
fella.
Yeah.
But all the rescues, when they get these dogs, like they name them. So Lafayette was maybe somebody's personal, I don't know, fun name or where they're from or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was Lafayette, and then the whole story is that him and his mother and brothers and sister were abandoned. A family did foster them for a little bit, so it took them in, but after a while they just couldn't keep them very much longer, and they got a hold of the Second Chance Animal Rescue up here in Windsor and said, how do we get these dogs from Texas all the way up to Canada and then find them, great homes?
Okay, before we go any further, they're in Texas, you're in Canada, and the United States must have rescue places.
Yes.
What's the connection?
So Second Chance works a lot with Texas, with Florida, Georgia, states that have what they call, for lack of a better term, high kill shelters. So they take as many dogs as they can, but they just can't keep them. So dogs will come up periodically. We usually bring them up in groups of 5, 6, or 7, and foster them here in the Windsor area. And then when they're ready, when we know their profile, know if they're good with kids or with, they need another dog in the house, then they're ready for adoption. But yes, it's unfortunate. It is a result of just overcrowding of the shelters and trying to get as many dogs saved as you can.
Oh, no. So when you say rescue dogs, you're literally talking about rescuing a dog from a certain fate and taking him anywhere. So I mean, they bring him up to Canada, and we're able to they find the forever homes.
Yeah. Okay, tell me about him. What's he like?
He is fun. He's quirky. He's an oddball little dog. He's a little timid and a little shy at first until he gets to know you. Very cautious. You know, we find that a lot of the dogs that do come up are cautious, right? They've been through some things, literally living on the streets.
Was he traumatized?
He doesn't seem to be. Like I said, he is quiet. He's really now started to, I think with everybody home, has taken a liking to everybody in the house. At first it was just me.
Because he was with her, because Lori works at home. So, I mean, they're home, 24/7. So if he wants something during the day, it's her.
Right.
And probably for this, first 6 months or so, he really didn't, I don't know, appreciate me. It's hard to say. But he's grown into, when she went on, she'd be away for 3 days, for a week, or, he sort of has to rely on me and, Lori's daughter.
He wanted to be fed.
Yeah.
He wanted to be fed. He wanted to be walked and everything. So, I mean, we do have a relationship. It's not like he hates me or anything, but...
He is fun, though. He's definitely
a good dog,
a character. He loves to run. He loves his walks. He plays. He has his babies. He's not destructive at all, which was kind of surprising for, not really being a house dog. But he's great.
But it did take him a while. Sort of like he was fostered for several weeks with other rescue dogs. And at that time, when Lori, contacted the group, they said, yeah, we've got this one little guy, and like he will just sort of sit in the corner. He's very shy, and he's not very... integrating with the other ones. And really that's sort of the perfect combination for what Lori was looking for. He didn't want something that was a dog that was really high maintenance or barking all the time or, really needy. So, I mean, Eddie and Lori fit together, like a glove. It was, and it's been really good that way. So
How much has he changed from then?
He's really, I think, come out of his shell. He's definitely will go up to people now. He will he'll be pet. At first, he didn't want to be pet. We do find he tends to like women more than men.
But he really has come out of his shell. He's a very personable, dog now. And we take him to, book signing events and that. Like we were kind of, worried at his, at the launch that we had in Amherstburg that, there might be a lot of kids. And really, he just sort of sat there and, just sort of took it all in. Like we were very happy with that.
The kids must love it.
They do. He's very, when you look at him, his face, he's just very, he's very cute, and he has those big dark eyes that look at you.
Yeah.
So.
And it isn't often parents take their children to a book signing and the animal in the book is there in the flesh.
Yeah.
So it's really neat,
It
isn't it?
is different, yeah. So.
Kids were excited. They were happy to like, oh, that's actually him. We can see him. So.
Now, is he the only pet you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your life been like since you got him and since the book?
Well, since the book came out, we had a very good, an excellent response to the book, and it was the #1, book of the year for the New River Bookshop in Amherstburg, and it came out in late October, so you can see how popular it was. And again, a lot of the for every book that sold, we're donating part of the proceeds back to Scar Rescue. So, I mean, even in an 8-week period, we had raised almost $1,000 through book sales and donations and promotions. And through media, somebody said, oh, well, we saw you on this TV show or in the newspaper. And, they directly reached out to Second Chance Animal Rescue and said, hey, we'd like to donate $200. So that was really one of the other goals of the book, that we wanted entertaining, but we also wanted to educate children about rescuing, about volunteering in this sort of manner, but also to raise money for this one specific rescue. But I mean, every rescue wants, they probably have their own Eddies.
Yeah.
But I mean, just with my background as a writer and, having all the pictures, we sort of, lucked out that we were able to, put together a book that really is inspirational and educational at the same time, which I think was our main goals.
Yeah.
Do you think that it will encourage people to actually go and adopt?
We hope so. There are so many dogs out there worth saving. Of course, there are very reputable breeders where you can buy dogs.
Yeah.
There are some maybe not so much. And, we do get those dogs into the rescue that have, got them as a Christmas present and didn't really want a dog. So a year later, they're, surrendering or abandoning a dog. So we're hoping it does raise some awareness around the effort to adopt, don't shop.
And you're having fun.
Oh yes,
We are having
definitely.
fun. Yes, it's been
Yeah.
it's been a very fun experience. Like with me, I've always written mystery novels or thrillers, and then to try to write a kids book for me was sort of a challenge at the start. But I think it turned out really well. So
Yeah, I know. I thought when I heard that you had done this and you told me about it, and I'd read your other books, and I thought, well, this is quite a departure.
it is, because usually I have paragraphs or pages to set up a storyline or to set up something, and with this, because it's a kids book, you have to get everything very very concise in a very short amount of words, and the pictures obviously help because there's one picture is 1,000 words,
Yes.
right? So it's
Now I understand he's a bit of an actor. He's in a commercial.
yes.
Is he? That is very cool.
Well, yeah. Again, with my background making book trailers for my other books, I was able to do some stuff with Ed too. So
And is there an Eddie sequel in the works?
the plan is yes, but we're just sort of waiting to see how we're going to be doing with adventures. The pandemic really stopped all the book shows and all the book signings and arts and crafts shows, where at Christmas time last year we would have, I'm sure, sold double of what we ultimately did. So once the market opens up again and I'm doing shows, I'm really hopeful that people will come up and go, oh, there's that Eddie book. I want to grab that. So
And very quickly, where can people buy your book?
you can buy them through the website, scannerpublishing.com. You can also get them on Amazon, both amazon.com and .ca. And if you go to the website, when you click on the adventures page, it shows a list of all the area stores in the Windsor-Essex area that carry the book. So.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much, and good luck with Eddie.
All right, thanks for having us.
Well, that's all for this episode of Scribes and Songsters. It goes so quickly. Many thanks to our guests, Rick Saruna, John Schlarbaum, and Laurie Huver. Producers, Liz Pettipies-Phillips, Gary Glass, and Brian Sweet. Grateful thanks to Tony Toldo and the Toldo Foundation, and to Neil and Tina Queering for their support. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon right back here on Scribes and Songsters. I'm Veronique Mandel. Bye for now.